Alright folks, and welcome back to the episode of Casting Conflicts, of course. Today, opening up the March 2021 series of matches. And looking at our leaderboards here, it seems that Uj is still on top of our leaderboards, currently / undefeated. How do you feel about that?
I think that that's going to be quite the hard task to keep up. I mean, we have public deck lists. Everyone gets to see what he's been doing. It's no surprise to anyone. I mean, he's played it now twice. I think the biggest issue that he's going to keep on running into is that he can. It's going to be extremely difficult to win game two. I think the counters are going to be more important now, like more in games with him than any other matches we're seeing.
Right. And I mean, for the rest of our leaderboards here, things are looking up quite nicely here. A nice even spread between everyone. 4 players with a 2-0 sort of clean set. 4 people with a sort of 50-50 mix at the 1-1 apiece. And of course, our bottom 4 here not able to pick up a set win today. However, the match we have today does affect the top of our leaderboards here, as it will be, of course, Allen taking on Banana, both currently undefeated in sets, yet to drop one. And Slash, talk to us about this matchup that we've got here today. A dinosaur taking on the classic Mystic Rat.
This is going to be a really. I think this setup is going to be honestly just one-sided either way. Banana could get rolling to dinosaurs. He could just have a good early game, a just solid early game, and then all of a sudden start crushing with stuff like Dragon's Fire and full board clears and just burning away Allen's important buildings. Or for all we know, Allen gets something out big. He gets a couple lightning blades on castle, and it's just game like that. I think the biggest fear that Allen's going to have is going to be the Dragon's Fire. He's probably very happy that doesn't see any flame storms in Banana's deck. However, that could be in some kind of sideboard. And I think Banana's here just hoping that he can that all of his burns will be able to hard counter Mystic Rats enough that it's that's a good solid closeout.
Yeah, we've seen Allen's deck going up against this kind of Warlock burn before against Helios, and he was able to, I think, jump over across that. I believe it was Helios. I have to double check. But regardless, he has faced Warlock burn in the past and have managed to overcome it. So I'm just really curious to see if he can do that again in the form of his opponent, which is, of course, Banana in the dinosaurs here. So interesting matchup. Really excited to see how this goes. Let's go ahead, jump into match number 1 and see how both of these players perform. All right, folks, and welcome back to match number 1 here, back on the battlefield as we are jumping in. Not a bad hand for Banana starting out, I would say, in turn 1, right?
I think this is really actually quite favorable to him here, especially now he's drawn the Rat King. I think I'd coin into Blacksmith here and then play Rat King. It's just one of those starts that's so hard to clean up without any kind of burn or flame storm.
Right, I would agree there. And of course, Allen losing that Eldritch Thief to a Lumberjack, pretty big here. Okay, Onslaught hitting the Blacksmith, nice cleanup. Pretty clean gameplay so far from these two. Not something that we are totally used to. I think by now sometimes someone switches up a little bit. But hey, we like that. So Armory coming down here, okay, getting his global buffs down, possibly foretelling a Rat King here. Banana with the pass on turn 4, not going for his Rat King just yet, doesn't feel comfortable, I guess, playing it. And oof, I'm looking at Banana's hand now, 2 Morlocks, a Dino Rider, and a Nest. I think we're going to probably see,
The fact that Allen just passed telegraphs to me that he probably has more onslaughts and other like buff cards in his hand. And I think that really does not bode well for him.
Right, especially knowing what is on the other side of it. Ooh, Witch Bolt. That's a great pickup here. We can hit the Armory directly, make this Captain easier to deal with. Not as clean of a trade as Allen would like to see. Magma Sword, Dino Baby coming out. Dino Baby coming out. And yeah, overall, great position.
Do you think that Banana's going to play greedy here and wait for a Mordok to be out before he plays a Nest? I don't think he has enough time, especially now that we're seeing that.
Yenneroth hitting the board, yeah.
Yeah.
That is not going to be good, especially in the position that we are in. He's got a great spot to Lightning Blade just to remove the Magma Sword if he chooses to. Banana playing another one here. He's not giving himself the goal to play Nest this turn, but I think he wants to in his next. We'll see how Allen responds to the Magma Sword, excuse me. I mean, honestly, both of them are sort of like a clean Mystic Rat Blacksmith away from being really taken out here.
I think the other thing that's really impresses me right now is that how quickly these players are deciding their actions. I
Hmm.
think also though for Allen, it's kind of telegraphing that he has a limited hand selection right now. If he had something like a Rat King Mystic Journey, I think we would have seen him thinking a bit longer of whether or not he plays it. But
So there is the onslaught on the stronger of the two. That is important to note there, where we could have, taken out that top Magmasaur with this onslaught here. Instead, we're kind of weakening one, and I don't think that's what the right play was supposed to be here, especially with Nest here. But does Banana get greedy, like you mentioned, going into the Mordock this turn, or does he? I think he plays the Nest now to save the Magmasaur. To be honest.
I think he has to. Actually, no. I think he plays Mordock here simply because of the number of cards on the board. He's just not having a great time. I would really dislike it if he pushed his Magnum here. Instead, I'd like him to have it just body block. But if he heals it up, then he has a good trade here. I just think that the um that the professor in the corner is going to be very hard for him to position around effectively.
Uh, I mean, ooh, he's kind of positioning away from the trade here. I do hope he makes it. He does make it. Okay, very cool. Oh no,
It all
that's a bit
depends on what
risky. That is a bit
it
risky.
all depends upon where the burn goes here, Red.
Yeah, there's a huge chance for it to land on these magma swords here. The first one hits, the second one does not. All right, not a bad spread. He did take a bit of damage on those Magmasaurs, but was able to save them here. Yenara taking the board for a second time now will freeze the rest of this off, putting Banana in a interesting position to say the least. That Fear is a big pickup. We'll stall the Yenara for a bit here, get him some time to breathe. Going for a Mordock play against that Maddie, which is the correct choice in my opinion. You also have that Dwarven Archives that is now in hand for some additional card draw, which of course he just flashed at us. I would say Banana in a very good position here. The only thing I don't like for him is just how many resources Allen has at his disposal. Perhaps those could come into play later on.
The fear with Mystic Rats is they have that massive 5 gold power spike with Rat King and a single Mystic Journey. I think we might be seeing it here, especially with Temple, and this is quite the 10 gold deadly combo, which just wins matches from this position.
Oh, well, there is a interesting play there. Of course, Mordock going to set up for a cleaner chain, or the Rat, excuse me, sets up with a better Mordock chain here. Rat's going ahead, making some trades here, getting things settled, getting taken away here. There is the Mystic Journey, and that was the 5 gold power spike, like you just mentioned. Of course, it's going to make a big impact here, do a bit of chain work here. I think he's got to, yeah, hit the Mordock, unfortunately, giving Banana one more card here. It is a Banshee, unfortunately, so not a big boy Wraith, which I think he would have liked to see, but looks like Allen going to go ahead and remove the Banshee from play. And, of course, giving Banana some
Oh,
additional minor spells here.
you misplays that he could have hit with Yenoroth.
He did. He could have. I mean, maybe he's hoping to keep it there, so that way it kind of gets awkwardly positioned for Yenneroth. But yeah, I do think that was a misplay. I do agree.
If he's looking for it to be just awkward positioning, I think that's a real blunder on his part. I think that he was just getting in time trouble and just a little
Probably.
nervous.
Yeah. I want to give him the benefit of that there, but yeah, I think time is definitely an issue.
I don't think this is quite really too terrible of a position now, actually, for Banana. If he had taken 6 more damage on face, it'd be really bad. But due to the positioning, I don't think he's going to be worrying too terribly much.
You think so?
I, I think that it's going to be very hard, especially now that he shadow slips that. It's going to be very hard for Allen to continue pressure, I think. Um, Especially now that you have a Rat King, which can just come back and
Mm-hmm.
simply almost at any time be the saving grace that just clears up any opponent's Rat Kings. So
I do want him to get a couple more, maybe. I think he's doing a bit of calculation in his hand to make sure he has some draw for next turn. But yeah, he sets up 3 zero-cost baby dinos, and he flashes that Mordock at us, telegraphing that he wants a big Mordock in this next turn. Execution on the Rat King will remove it from play, opening up a path for Yenneroth here, which again kind of opens up why we didn't do Yenneroth in the first place. So we will take that 7 damage to face here. Maddie setting up a Mage Apprentice in the back, and of course we will pass it back at that point. We do have Big Mordock now in the pocket if that is what we want to go for, which might be the play here to remove the Yenneroth. Slash, how you feeling about that? Is that the option that we would go here?
I mean, big Mordock trades on one or survives with one health and allows you to kill off that apprentice in the back. I think, however, saving it is I'm not sure about saving it. I think it should have been played here simply due to the fact that it's quite the power card in this situation,
Hmm.
and it gives you so much both board control and such a threat for the future rest of the game. I mean, he did a very nice clear up here, but I think that possibly having that a one Mordok with the bird in hand and then playing a vanishing strike or something could really close out a game here.
Right, that is certainly something to consider. Havel goes down after playing the Shaman over on Allen's side of the board here. A little late for Havel to be showing up, but Havel nonetheless. Dragon Knight making an appearance there, setting up a additional Havel. Got to wonder if these were sitting in his hand for quite some time. As you're making another push here, which Banana can clean up easily, but that is a absolutely massive pickup in this game. Arbiter is going to do some incredible work.
In fact, I'd say that Arbiter's the card that wins him the game here. I don't think that Alan. I mean, Mystic Ratch can come back from any position, but I think Alan's going to be very hard pressed too without the resources. And especially now that, in essence, all the cards on his board, their power was just basically halved compared to when he had Temple.
Yeah, Temple, I think, was the big target he needed to hit there. Some might argue that Havel would have been the go-to, but you have to remember that there are two. Eliminating one doesn't really solve the issue here, that Rat still would have this incredible chain potential. Temple was the thing to remove, which happened here, and a bit of cleanup from Banana's side as well. He took out the Dragon Knight, he took out the Shaman here. Although, like you said here, it doesn't take long for Ristic Rat to come back in. I mean, you just saw two more Rats being played there from the Havel, the Shaman coming back out, refilling a bit of filling a bit of resources in Allen's hand, excuse me, and now Banana could go into, again, this big Mordok that we keep foreshadowing, which might be a game ender here.
Unless Alan starts pulling some of his global buffs, it's just going to be so incredibly difficult for Banana to almost mess this up because each time he hits, he's going to be generating another unit, which is
Hmm.
something that Alan's going to have to fight again, and it's just going to be this vicious cycle that won't be able to escape unless he starts pulling stuff. I think that Mercenary's Execution is a really good pull for him.
That is
However,
indeed.
I don't think it's the answer here that he really should have. I think a Temple would have been much better from this position.
That is kind of curious, though. I mean, looking at Banana's plays in the previous turn, he did not choose to baby Dino even in the slightest with that Mordok on board, despite it. No, I mean, do you think he was predicting the execution and just decided to hold those babies for something like a big nest play to swarm the field with a bunch of dinos?
I think he knows he's in such a powerful position right now where simply keeping those dinos in hand is also
Mm,
a very much a great threat because at any point he can just drop a 3/3 buff onto anything. And I mean, as general, it's just I think this is much more he is following the role of play units first, buff later, and in many ways he's viewing these baby dinos as not just units but also buffs, and I really like that.
that is true here. I do want to comment, though, at least quickly here. I don't like how Banana is sort of playing a little bit greedier, in my opinion, here with these cards. I mean, the Vanishing Strike play I might have understood was necessary against the Hovels, but I mean, that could have been damage to equalize or even close out this game. As you see, there is still a health difference between the two castles here. I believe a difference of 5, and we're going to see one of those Dino Nests get played now. See if any babies come out to help on this board here. But yeah, I don't like how he's just kind of letting the castle chip down. I'm hoping that it's not going to be too late for him to kind of at some point pick it up. He does need to pick it up, in my opinion, to get the damage difference sealed.
I don't know if Banana knows this, but Alan doesn't run Yenneroth or Ragnar in this deck. Well, there always is a fear of Lightning Blade. It's one of those where that Lightning Blade's able to chip castle no matter what. So I think this is going to be a very interesting setup here.
Yeah, especially with the cards we're seeing Banana Flash, he's kind of previewing something like a Flamestorm Nest in his next turn here, but will he make it to that turn? A Yarn right here could end him. Just, I mean, walking up to the baby dino, connecting it, doing some big chain, and again, and nearly ending the game. Not sure if that's going to be in his future, though. We will see here. Lightning Blade onto the Lumberjack. Make that 2 for a total of 6 chain damage here. Going to go ahead and clear up that front position on the board here. And that's what I was talking about here. He got a little bit too greedy, and I think he just was letting that castle damage just go a little bit too much. And now look where he's at. Not the best of positions.
Does he play Dwarf and Archives? Because he can't play.
I mean, that would cut him off of his heal. I don't know if... I think he's... I don't think Hands of the Saints is in this deck, per se, but he's not going to be able to close it out. And Allen does take game number 1. Wow.
Very convincing closeout from him.
Indeed, indeed. And a very sort of clean game from both competitors here. Love to see it. Love to see it, indeed. So without further ado, folks, we're going to go ahead and jump just as quickly as they played the cards. They're going to go ahead and take you to the post-game number 1. Alright, folks, of course, coming back after match number 1. An exciting back and forth between both of these players. Unfortunately for the Banana, they got a little too greedy within the heat of the moment there and allowed Allen to slip in with a double Lightning Blade chip to kind of, again, slip away with the victory, in my opinion. Just unfortunately, I wasn't able to find the heal in that sort of desperate moment where he needed it at the most, and it kind of just crumbled around him. I don't know if you felt in a similar way to me on this one, Slash.
I think it was. I don't think it was just a moment of greed that slipped. I think it was just Banana was playing passive the entire game. It allowed the vital board control to the rats, and it was just simply a matter of taking damage on face time and time again, and taking that chip damage that slowly just was enough to erode away his castle health.
Right, and with that, of course, Allen does walk away with game number 1 here. Set point for him moving into match number 2. Let's go ahead and jump to that match right now. Alright, folks, in game number 2, again, this is going to be set point for Allen, potentially, as we move in. Banana does need a win here to take it to game number 3 here. And, Slash, we're seeing a bit of last will from Banana. Of course, no stranger to seeing this come out as his sort of go-to second. How are you feeling on this matchup?
I think that Banana has a really strong start here, but at the same time, Allen is just telegraphing that he has a hovel he wants to play. Yeah, there's the hovel.
Yep. Of course, a turn 1 unit in a back position always sort of telegraphs that hovel here, although Banana does consider the Witch Bolt answer for it. He's thinking about it.
No. I think that, honestly, I think that he can go ahead and just ignore it for now, simply due to the fact that that Dragon's Fire and the stall is going to do so much, and that Witch Bolting something like an armory or some bigger board item could be much more important.
Right, but there is a second hovel which does raise concern. Again, we're floating in the Witch Bolt. We do commit to it, putting Allen down to 1 hovel rather than 2. Banshee, I would like to see, yeah, okay, perfect. Being held there, he's sort of telegraphing a fear to potentially kill off the second hovel. Would have liked to see that go towards an Andrew buff, but hey, that is completely fine. Again, getting rid of the hovel is pretty important here, as Onslaught removes the Banshee from play, it looks like. Of course, the bleeding to come into effect, remove that Banshee. Giving Banana an Ice Weaving. Not the worst spell to pick up. Definitely not where he wants to be either. Again, his hand is looking a bit odd.
I think that this could really spiral out of control for Allen if he doesn't deal with this Andrew. I mean, we're seeing a possible 6+6 going onto that single Andrew.
All right, that is a good point. Wind Mage coming out from the ready.
I think that really changed the board situation there, that Wind Mage coming out, simply due to the fact that Andrew is now 2 moves away from hitting face and not just 1. These Sunflowers, I think, are going to actually get quite a bit of value simply due to the fact that they have that 4 health instead of a traditional 3 or smaller. I dislike that play.
Dragon's Fire has been committed to the board. Slash, talk to us about that. You're not liking that?
I don't like that at all. I think that he could have held on for maybe 2 or even 3 more turns, playing like a Vicious Sunflower or just his smaller cards in hand, and successfully maintained a stronger front. But
Blue Firebolt, though, not a bad pickup here. Debating on which to hit. Armory the choice. All right, very nice. We can play Lumberjack too, which I imagine is going to see an appearance here. Of course, why not get it out? The small unit will be able to buff Andrew. Creating that chain too, which is also important here. Of course, you know, you don't want to create that chain against Vikings. However, In this case, it would mean a big, big amount of buffs to Andrew, so that is something to kind of keep a note of as well. Dragon Knight hitting the board now for Alan's turn. Dragon Knight pushing all the way in here. Looks like it wants that Andrew dead. Rat not connecting to the Lumberjack as well here. He's kind of forcing Banana to do the job for him, it looks like.
I think this is kind of bad here from Allen because he didn't realize that the Sunflower here, in essence, gets a free pick on Hovel just by moving up.
Yep. So that, of course, takes out the Hovel once the Sunflower detonates, unless Alan's got any more wind shenanigans, which in Vikings is possible, but we only saw one, and that was the wind mage from a Maddie pull. I don't think we're going to see that happen again in this game. I could be wrong, but still. But now we have the problem of dealing with the rest of Alan's push here. Of course, we can use the Andrew, but okay, we're going to open that up a little bit to the Dragon Knight here. I do think, okay, we do hit the Dragon Knight a little bit lucky on his part here. He rolled the dice a little bit and got very funny with it, but considers the Taurus Files, commits it to Alan's side of the board here, and passes turn. Not a bad
I think
cleanup.
that's going to be a very, very powerful Terrius Files simply due to the fact that he's blocking a forward spawn. It's going to be very, in many ways, easier to infiltrate both the back line and also to position an Andrew in a way that Allen simply cannot afford. He literally, oh, I was about to say he can't afford playing Rat King on the forward rank due to the fact that he's losing the majority of his rats, but that's clearly not the case that he's thinking.
No, he does commit to it, and of course removing the Andrew in the process. Here's an interesting scenario, though. Arcanon General in hand with two Tarius Files out on the board. We're going to go ahead and take it. Do we hit the Tarius Files? We hit the Sunflower. That is a little unfortunate there, not going to lie. I don't recommend him playing a second one. But then again, it's interesting. It's interesting what the Last Will deck can do sometimes. Cracks into hand, not a bad pickup. We do commit to the second Sunflower here, so an even 50-50 split between generating Sunflower or Tarius Files off of the General. Although it doesn't matter, execution in the hand removes that from play. Alan does not have any gold for a Rat King, and that Rat King is in danger.
I think that Banana probably should have pushed his Sunflower up past the Terrius Files, simply due to the fact that he's threatening stuff like Blacksmith, and he has a second one on the way, and that second square is also a threat square for the Hovel.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point it's nearly a one game also for Banana, just looking at the position. That being said, Mystic Rats can always come back.
I mean, we saw the power swing last game. We definitely saw what they can do. We're not counting Alan out just yet here, but it is looking more and more dicey as the turns go on. Yennefer hitting the board now, cleaning up the back Sunflower, dealing 3 damage, of course, thanks to that last will here. Southport Captain moving up to engage the Craxus. Probably not going to happen. Well, maybe happen, but Yennefer's certainly going to go ahead and get pushed back, saying, no thank you. We're going to deal with you later. Salahar Rider going to get pushed up, question mark? Looks like it will, okay. And, yeah, going to have to pass on that. Unfortunately, not much else in the hand to work with. Racking doesn't seem right, and, of course, Hand of the Saint, not the correct time for it.
Something else to start thinking about is that we've already seen 2 Rat Kings come out of Alan's hand. It's going to be much more difficult throughout the rest of this game to get that big 5 gold power spike, and it's just, in many ways, I think he's almost thrown away part of his win condition here.
Hellblade hitting the board onto the Southport Captain here. Looks like it will connect to the Craxus, getting rid of it. Drawing Banana 2 cards, though, and there's a refill of the Craxus. Lumberjack coming out as well. Yennefer being pushed back up here. He still has not dealt with this early Sunflower that's been on the game since turn 2. Incredible.
That's a huge Dragonspire.
That's
a board clear here for Banana.
That is. Dragon's Fire is a board clear. Does he follow it up though with a Rat King or another Tarius Files to make it 3? I mean, he certainly does not play hands here. Nothing to hands.
I think he plays Terrius Files and blocks the other spawn even possibly.
Can he?
It really makes it quite dicey at that position.
Let's say, could he get to the other spawn from here if he dragons?
I would have moved Sunflower up after the. fire, but
Well, the
uh,
fire's
I,
not going to kill the shaman. No?
no, no, it wouldn't. I'm very confused on what he's doing here because I understand that he's holding a position and he has that freeze card that can hold it, but I think that there could be a lot of scary things that come out of Allen's hand here, which could really stop this push that Banana has. I think that the
I
Dragon's Fire maintaining it wasn't the greatest play.
I think this is him again being greedy. It's just Banana's style of play here. Yennefer hitting the board again. A bit of a weird position to put Yenneroth as can't really move. So we're probably seeing that was as a potential misclick from Allen there as the Yenneroth sort of pushed back and away here. Banana going to go ahead and throw Andrew for turn. That third Tara's file is going to be debated here, whether or not that goes down or not. Ideally, would like to see it maybe up in that, like Slash said, that top spawn to really cut it off. But instead, it looks like he's going to go ahead and block for this Yenneroth here. I mean, Allen's units won't be unfrozen yet, just thanks to how Yenneroth works. Execution, though, on that top end, you're going to be most of Allen's gold for the turn. Cleans up that Andrew very nicely here, but leaves him in bit of an interesting position here. And this is, I think, what Banana wants in a way from his Dragon's Fire. He's just holding it, trying to be as greedy as possible with it.
I think we're about to see Craxus go on face.
I think so too.
And it's one of those where that second Yenroth won't be able to attack it from that current position. He's gonna have to either clear something up or something along those lines. It's just not a. This is definitely not a winning position from Allen.
No, I do think the Yenneroth was potentially a huge misplay, which is why it's kind of baffling that he didn't even move it, even after the misplay. Like, I understand you putting it in the wrong spawn, but you still should move it to kind of fix your position. I didn't see any of that from Allen with that Yenneroth here. Temple comes down. Cracks is
The
probably going to
double
clean it up.
arbiters, I think that's the game.
I mean, unless Allen just spends all of his time blocking, really. But even then, yeah, it's the inevitable. Double arbiters. I mean, look how much heal is in Banana's hand. Hell, he could do nothing for like the next several turns and still probably walk out on top just because of how much heal he's packing.
I mean, at a certain point, double lightning blade could come out, but it's not very likely.
No.
And even if it did, I mean, that's only 10 damage on face. He doesn't have anything that's even threatening face right now, really.
Mm-hmm. The Tarius file is being chipped away here just by all of these units here. And I think now is probably when he's just going to Dragon's Fire because why not? You get another 4 damage instantly to face here, and you really put Allen on the clock here. I think even then, Arcanon into hands, you end the game.
I would have really liked to have seen him play headless here instead of
Oh,
Andrew. I don't think Andrew's going to matter. I don't think that Andrew's
you wanted
going
to
to do
take the
jack.
gamble?
I want that gamble, no matter what target he hit. As long, I mean, he had 2/3 chance of hitting something that would actually realistically change the game. But
Allen, meanwhile, looking like he's going to go digging for a couple of cards here. Lumberjack against the Andrew here. Acolyte moving up again, connecting to the Andrew. And that is a pass turn at 9 gold, meaning that he is not going to play, leading Banana into the Arbiter swing for game. A great rebound by Banana in game 2 here. Very nicely done. I do think, unfortunately, the Yenneroth misplay may have cost him, but still, I think it was a very just dominant matchup, a dominant performance from the last will deck all the way through.
I'm still rocked to have seen 3 Terrius files come out and not a single flame storm to kill any of them off.
Oh boy, that is certainly something interesting. So with that being said, folks, we do have to move into a game number 3. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and show you guys what happened in match number 2. All right, folks, in game number 2, of course, closing out quite well for Banana here as he brings it to a game number 3 with the power of some helpful sunflowers, in my opinion. Moving those bad boys, of course, right into Allen's sort of back line, removing sort of the big threats like Hovel maybe early on, and getting a lot of Tarius files down. I mean, goddamn, we saw all 3 Tarius files out at the same time. Slash, what a magnificent sight that was.
Yeah, that's definitely not something you see in your everyday play. It's one of those where this game has a lot of obstacles in it, and I think Terry's Files being one of the most important ones simply due to that powerful draw you can get out of it. And it really showed it with the fact that I think that Allen might have had a better winning chance if he had simply killed the one that was blocking his forward spawns. But I mean, it was just a great game out of Banana and just so much board control he was able to maintain
Hmm.
that it just simply he was never there was never a point where he could have even been worried.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Totally, totally. And with that being said, folks, like we said, we do push to a game number 3 here. Both players set point. Let's go ahead and jump into that match right now. Match number 3, folks, coming at you right now as we're jumping into it. Interesting hand from Banana. Subs away that. Ooh, what a curve. Ooh, what a
That looks like
curve.
a beautiful winning hand there from Banana,
Oh
especially knowing that
boy.
Allen really likes his early game buildings.
Oh, you love to see it here. Lumber into miner into a potential burn. Oh, who wouldn't love to see it if you're a Warlock Crusader player? Allen responding with a Lumberjack for turn 1. Gets, of course, a nice trade there. Both cards for both players. Flexing a lot of burn in his early hand, though, is Banana here. The Witch Bolt, the Flame Storm, the Blue Fire. We do take a trade, though, of course, with that Elvish Thief here, setting up our Magmasaur, which seems fine here, especially, again, knowing that it's protected by a couple of different options in our hand here. Shaman going ahead, trying to intercept that Magmasaur here.
I think I'd move my Magmasaur up here and just let Shaman hit face. I mean,
Do you think we
if
play
there's damage you can
Blacksmith?
spot, this is yeah. I'd play Blacksmith, but I think that here you're just risking a Lightning Blade.
Yeah, this is a big Lightning Blade if here. Metal of Bravery, okay. Into a Temple. Alright. Not exactly the Lightning Blade play we were admitting. Still Chain, but not as much here. Magmasaur still gets a kill off on that Shaman, although Banana does lose one of his global buffs here. We'll see Armory go ahead in the top corner there. Our Magmasaur replenishes his health, but at the cost of his good old friend the Blacksmith, which Allen will play for turn, going into turn number 5 here, following up with an Elvish Thief. Could warrant
I,
another burn, but
I
not
think
sure.
I would have preferred to have seen Banana hit face there, and then proceeded to play Flamestorm to clear the rest of the board.
I think he's setting up for it now with the blue fire to Temple, sort of telegraphing that he wants that Magmasaur explosion to finish off the Temple and really get aggressive with it. He has a Dino Nest in hand, which can be played on turn 7 here. The question is, does he take it? Especially with the baby dino in hand, I think he does here, and that's what we are going to see. Of course, baby dino at the bottom can trade into the Elvish Thieves. Magmasaur can remove the Shaman from play. He can set up these babies in a bit of a more precarious position for Allen to deal with, and we are in a pretty good position, I would say, barring the dreaded power spike of a 5 gold play.
I think that I mean it's I think that both players are actually in a decent position here to almost just work on the board and to
Mm.
um, set stuff up. That being said, though, I think Allen just improved his position quite a bit with killing off the Magmasaur because I mean Rat King cleans up this entire board still.
It does, it does. And we have 2 more gold to work with, of course, moving into turn 8, which does yield a Yenaroth. A little early to make his appearance, but we'll still do it nonetheless. You're removing the biggest baby on the board for virtually free. Of course, this means Lumberjack has to come out now. We're going to probably debate on whether or not Blue Fire is worth it on the Yenaroth for bid, but decide it's not going to be as we pass turn back to Allen. Seems
This is
fine so
quite
far.
the interesting dynamic here where Allen has all the cards and Banana, who's playing Crusaders, is still actually down on cards.
Yeah, it's kind of weird here. I mean, the Lumberjack will generate will generate a card for him if he decides to take it here, which it looks like he will against this Yenaroth. Does generate him another Mordock, which actually probably lead him into a Flamestorm. Yeah, that seems better for the cleanup here. If we go into a Magmasaur, seems fine, seems fine here with Mordock sitting in the rear, in the back pocket, if you will. Oh, quite an interesting position here. We are low on health for Allen, but we have a plethora of options, I imagine.
I think that him losing the temple was not something he was looking for or hoping for.
No.
The having that temple is just such a powerful, almost get out of jail free card when having to deal with multiple units.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with you there. I mean, the chain is something that is just so valuable, and it's worth the investment here. You look at a lot of other buildings here. Temple, probably one of the most expensive buildings out there in the game, and rightly so. It delivers such a powerful cleanup resource that a lot of people need, and sometimes when they're in certain matchups. Regardless, Morlock hitting the board for Banana's turn as we kind of predicted it would. I mean, while Allen has set up another hovel for his turn here, as well as the Dragon Knight. Oh, what can we see, though, do you think, from Allen that'll be impactful in this game? At this
I think
specific scenario?
if he has Mercenaries Execution, I think he already would have played it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's down and out on that. I think he has a couple onslaughts probably,
Still doesn't really deal with
but
the big problem of Mordok. Of Mordok pretty much getting to face at this point here with something like Magma Sword backing it up.
I think he might have a Mystic Journey in hand. But I think that he's right now lacking in buffs because I think for sure he would have played them by now.
Potentially, I mean, also you can Mystic Journey the Dragon Knight. Oh, there's
I
a
don't
Lore
think it matters.
Master.
I think that this is going to be
Yeah.
just the cleanup and the smack. If Banana does this right, he needs to fear back the second unit there to get a good clear up. But yeah,
No,
he's doing
yeah.
it correctly. Yep, he's
He's
got
got the
it.
game. Yep, beautiful work.
Just GG for Banana. Just such a quick cleanup of just having so much board control that Mystic Rats was never able to get rolling. There was nothing for it to ever be able to pop its Mystic Rats to kill off on the board, and just the fact that there was never that almost chain value that you could hit multiple units to kill off the castle was just so clinical from Banana, and he just got the right cards at the right point, and I think it just was so. I don't think with that setup, I don't think there's anything Allen could have done.
Right, right. I can definitely agree with you on that one. But with that being said, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at how match number 3 went down as we go ahead to our post-game recap. All right, folks, in game number 3, wrapping up, Banana taking away the set victory for this episode. And what a match. What a performance from Banana here in game number 3. Absolute domination, in my opinion, just from what we saw out there. Really controlling the board well, taking away Allen's buffs with the Temple here, setting him up nicely with that Magma Storm Mordok to just close out the game. I mean, you just don't get any cleaner than that, I think, for this deck anyway.
I think we really saw the power of Magmasaur at that final clear up where he was able to get 3 damage on castle, clean up a unit, and continue forward with it. And it just made the momentum where no other unit would have been able to give it to him there. I think he really was able to display that quite well. I think the armories, though, were the real MVPs here, just the silently working away in the background, making sure that every trade he took was a good trade. And it was just I mean, he had such a small hand at the end there, but it didn't matter because every card he played was better than every card Allen played throughout that game. It was just a very clean, clinical game from Banana.
Indeed, indeed. And with that being said, folks, of course, no set would be complete without a word from our players. So let's go ahead and get to those interviews right now.
Welcome back, gentlemen. Banana, congratulations on your win. I mean, Allen, better luck next time. Is there anything that either of you, I mean, starting with Banana, is there anything that you think you could have done better in your counter pick, or anything where you just felt like your deck was lacking up against Allen's?
In my deck, I forgot to put in my third Dragon's Fire the first match, so yeah, the counter pick was fine, I think, because it runs a lot of heal.
Allen, is there anything where it just your deck? I mean, in my opinion, your deck had somewhat of a poor matchup there. Is there any way
In the
that
second game, I actually pressed end turn on my last turn, but I think I would have lost either way, so it doesn't matter. I probably could have counter picked in the third game. Maybe I should have ran what's it called, War Party, just predicting that he'd sub in the Flamestorms, because I saw that his deck didn't have Flamestorm, so I figured I'd be fine. But obviously I knew he was gonna sub it in for third match, and
Yeah.
then I honestly, I think it was a good choice because his deck just expended so much resources that I almost had him at the end, but I didn't pull the Mystic when I needed it, which would have gotten rid of those 2 armories and got rid of his thing. So he kept board control. He was so dominant with board control, he just had me there. Because that Rat King deck, if you don't get Mystics or Yeneroths, you can't take back board control.
Do you think that in many ways the key to playing against like decks similar to yours would be then the board control that Banana exerted in Game 3?
Yeah, because if I could have gotten the Yeneroth or the Mystic and taken back board control, I would have been fine. But he dominated with board control. He played it correctly. He killed the things when he needed to kill it and went for lethal when he needed to go for lethal, and there was nothing I could do.
Yeah, definitely a hard situation there for you.
The
I mean, you
Mordock,
said
the Mordock explosion combo just had me.
for sure. I mean, there was so much damage output there at the end. I mean, if you had pulled Mystic, you said that your target would have been Armories. Do you think
So
if
I
you
would
had
have
pulled
taken
it?
out both armories, and I think I could have also taken out the other thing, and then I would have just had to deal with the Mordock, and it probably would have gotten a lot of value against rats, but I would have been fine.
Okay, okay. Banana, I mean, this is another win for you. How are you feeling after this, bud?
Dinos are pretty nice.
For sure,
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
do
It's
the work.
very see players in the cartel bring this around. Do you think that you are going to be the almost pariah of dinos, the person who's trying to bring them back into the forefront of gameplay?
Well, you see, if you look at everyone else's deck, you see 0 dinos. But when you look at my deck, you see many dinos. So I guess, yeah.
Thank you.
Most
Well,
people don't have the removal for dinos,
I
That
mean, you
is
have
smart
like
play.
Mercenary, people run Burn.
but like
when they get
the
rolling, I
like
think
flamestorms can instantly take out rats. Flamestorms can't take out dinos, and you get so many of them. You need like buffs and like Rat King Mystic plus Temples can easily take them out. But if I don't have that, then dinos just fucking destroys me. That or lightning blades.
When do you start running evolution, Banana? Tell us. When do you start?
Whenever I can
Yeah.
put in another card.
are you excited for the 51 card update that Vaughn's going to release?
Oh yeah, I'm so excited.
You'll get to run
Man.
your Dino evolution then.
Oh
Is there
man.
anything you want to ask them there, the Red?
Just one quick question for Alan. I believe it was game 2. I believe the second Yenneroth you played, it was right in front of the Tarius files. Clearly I believe that was
I
just
forgot I couldn't run over it.
right. Like that was misplay here. But what's really curious to me is
Yeah.
that you didn't like follow up with the movement. Like normally when you play misplay like that, sure it happens, but like I didn't see any sort of movement to try and like repair it for like the next turn when you maybe needed to come in. Was that intentional? Or did you just forget to
I
completely move the Yenneroth and just was like, oh
I
well.
probably should have moved it. I probably should have moved it to the left of the castle spawn spot,
Hmm.
but I don't think it made a huge difference. I still got the Craxus out the next turn
Right,
with the
right.
temple play.
Yeah, just
So
it
that
was
was
one of those
fine.
plays that was kind of like, huh. I don't know if he picked up on it, but yeah, that's all I had. But yeah, with that being said, guys, a stellar matchup, stellar set being logged in today. And with that, let's go ahead and take a look at our standings, our leaderboard standings, and show how this match affects those said standings.